Hello, I'm Lucas from Sparks, and we are here today for another episode with our new friend, Trisomy 9 slash Dante, right?
Yeah. Just Dante is fine. The Trisomy 9 is it's pretty funny because sometimes when people yo Trisomy when I go out to Providence and I just be like, oh, it's like a Dante, but I appreciate you.
Oh yeah, so you already have some recognitions with the name. That's cool.
I I guess yeah. It's
Yeah,
like
that's cool.
it's really funny. I don't know. Like I just like a lot of people just call me Dante or just like some people who like are cool with me. I like learning people's names like on a first name basis. So like if I try to remember it,
I'm
it's
I'm
complicated because there's
horrible.
like
I'm horrible with names.
yeah, I didn't know your name for like the longest time. I was like, I know it was like Chris, but I didn't know what your name was. And then
Yeah.
I just, you sent me like an email. It was like Lucas. And I was like, okay, there you go.
I'm horrible. Sometimes people like say to me, I'm Peter. Okay," and then I'm immediately forgot
Yeah.
already in the dump.
Yeah. The repetition's like needed for me too. Like it's
Yeah,
crazy.
but so where does the nickname came?
Honestly, like I think I saw it in like a school note, like not notebook, but like a textbook, like one of those hardback ones that I teach about biology and stuff like that. The
Uh,
name trisomy 9 is actually like a scientific name. It's a scientific name for having like three chromosomes. So like uh
oh,
so the disorder like Down syndrome, because you have down when you have Down syndrome, you have three chromosomes. You actually have three chromosomes of the pair 21 or 20, yeah, 21. There's actually like a French cold wave band like called Trisomy 21, and I didn't know that until like maybe like 2 years ago or 3 years ago. I've had this project name
oh,
since I was like I'm 21 right now. I've had it since I was maybe like 15, no, earlier than that actually, like 14. Like I've had it, but I never like really used it. Like the original concept of Trisomy 9 was supposed to be like this like really weird like collective where we just like help out anything. If you're familiar with like Elephant Six, like Neutral Milk Hotel, like Apples and Stereos, like it was supposed to be like that kind of collective, like just like anybody could help out anybody, like if you needed this or you needed a flute or something like that. I wanted to create like almost like a revolution of sorts. It never ended up happening, and funnily enough, like I met my cousin not long after, or maybe it was like a year after I started my project. Like I just met him for the first time, and he has his project called Bomb Erotica, and it was literally like he had the same idea. It was like this like collective turned solo project, and it was it's like really weird. And I always thought that was funny, but I always saw that name, and I didn't really like think about like I don't know. It's very in vogue because harsh noise names always have like these like really not brutal names, but just sort of kind of like it goes against the grain. Like there's like
yeah.
pain chain, carry on eater, things like that. So it's kind of always, it kind of fits. Like if you look up like that, but I've always imagined it being more than just like a noise project. Obviously, it's going to be like noise and noise adjacent.
I was listening to the stuff that you have on Bandcamp, the live at 1911, right?
Yeah.
That's the first thing that you recorded for this, or?
Technically no, but in reality yes, because I had these like two projects that I consider them demos. Like I forget, like one was called Brain Static, and the other one was called Pistain Teeth. Um, and those
Listen,
were kind
what?
of Pistain Teeth. Like it was like it's funny. I could go into that like in a minute, but yeah, they were just kind of like demos. I was kind of making a lot of stuff like in Audacity with friends, and just sort of really just goofing around really. And I just kind of put them out there, and like those are just kind of like, yeah, I'm doing stuff, but like knew that wasn't like exactly what I want to do, especially within the noise room. That's not what the type of noise I wanted to make. So I kind of put those out, but then I realized just like listening to like a bunch of people from my area, I was just like, man, like that's like my shit like is like nothing. Excuse my language, but my stuff was really nothing in comparison to theirs. Like because my stuff was just like demos from when I was a kid. I was like, so I had like these two-piece composition, like or I had these two compositions that I like made and I recorded live, and performed live. And I was just sort of like, I need to put like a real record, so I just mixed and mastered those, and um, put it out there, which is it's been really cool because
That's great.
yeah.
Like since talking with you when we started our project, I can see that there's a really cool underground scene over there in
Oh yeah, it's been
Waterfall.
popping since like the early 90s. Like a lot of famous people came out of Providence. Like obviously like the biggest name is like Shepard Fairey, who's like the Obey guy. And
Oh,
then you
he's from
have like
there. I didn't know that.
yeah, he went to
Yeah.
school like I think he's from like Virginia or something. He's more but he's Rhode Island.
Yeah.
There's a very like prestigious university called Rhode Island School of Design, and that's where like a lot of the scene comes from. Is like the early days of like Rhode Island School of Design. It's been prestigious for like a long time, but like as of late, like the biggest things like Lightning Ball, and like funnily enough, like bands like VOCs had starts in it, and Airborne Radar came out of there as well, and they all sort of came around the same time, like the same kind of pyramid of like the late to early to like late like early 90s to like very early 2000s. They all came out of there, and you
That's great.
know. So
That's great.
and the scene's been thriving since then too. I mean, it's had its up and down, especially since like COVID. Remember, like going to shows in Providence before COVID, and then like during COVID, it was like almost dead. I mean, that was like that across the whole world, right? But in Providence, you felt it, especially because like a lot of like DIY venues died, and Providence is very built on the shoulders of DIY venues.
That's great. And when did you started to get more attracted by the noise genre? When do you start,
Um,
liking those things?
Honestly, since I was like a baby,
Oh
I
yeah.
was born. Yeah. It's funny. People always say this is like the craziest story when I tell them this, but it's like I was actually like born deaf or deaf. Like I was deaf for all intents and purposes. I had amniotic fluid, which is like the womb fluid, like in my ear canals.
Hmm.
And I had that for like 5 years, the first like 5 years of my life, and I remember very not too. I don't remember very like much from that time period, but I do remember looking around and not being able to hear properly. Like I'm like, this is something wrong. Like this sounds very weird, or I can't even hear it at all. Um, but I got my ears drained around age 5, and this is like around that time they were trying to teach me sign language too, and then like my whole world was like completely like
Mm.
revolutionized. Like I could hear things, and I was dancing, and I was like listening to music and stuff like that. But really, the most interesting things were kind of just listening to like air conditioners. Really, like I was always listening to air conditioners, or like in my room at night when you lay down, you can hear like these cars passing by, and they almost sort of like reverb through the room ever so slightly, and they had like these weird like frequencies, and I was always listening to that as a kid, and it was like calming and just soothing. And like obviously I would listen to like a lot of different things. Like I was always the kid that was like knocking down cans or doing weird
Mm.
stuff. It was like really cute and funny, but like it was like those sounds were invigorating to me. So when I didn't grow up listening to music, actually, like not that often. My mother never put me on records. um it's like the thing where parents put their kids onto like records. Like people, like I hear like all of my friends like, oh yeah, my dad put me onto the Who or Led Zeppelin or yada yada or that. But I never really listened to music growing up. I didn't really listen to music until I was like 14. So when I was listening to like a lot of records at 14, like I stumbled, like some of the first few records I stumbled upon were like of noise music, and I was like listening to these records, and I was like, this is like exactly what I was thinking of, and just like imagining, and like this is like what they're doing, like what I recognize at like age like 6. These like
Mm.
tones and frequencies and timbres, just like creating creating atmosphere. And it was really enlightening to see that people were doing that, but like an actual like musical form. And so I just kind of took to that. I was like, this is cool.
That's so interesting. That's a really great story, man. uh and it's fantastic that even though you were 5, you still have a memory uh of feelings, of seeing the difference between not hearing and then having that explosion, I guess, of
Yeah,
sense.
definitely. And one very specific memory that like, always pops in my mind when I like think about it is like I remember my extended family's from Guatemala, and I remember my abuela trying to call me, and I taking the phone, but I really couldn't hear it. Like never mind like the language barrier. She speaks Spanish, and I'm American. I don't understand Spanish, but not only that, like I could barely hear her, and I was like, it was really weird. And they were like, worried, and it was very not a good time, I guess you could say retrospectively.
Yeah, no, because I don't remember nothing from when I was 5. I have some memories at 6, but 5 I don't have much to
What's
say.
you don't what's earliest memory? Like you gotta at least know your earliest memory.
I don't know. I kind of I think I remember like being somebody having me in their uh somebody holding me. I
Yeah.
remember like from my point of view looking at my old house. That's it. That's I think the yeah, the most far out memory. And then I have some, some memories of walking around the house, but it's nothing like compared with nothing deep or nothing with,
No,
a lot
it's
of
all
just like scattering memories. And then I start to have more when I went to school, when I went not school, but when I went, with hanging out with other kids and stuff like that.
it,
But not
it's
nothing too deep.
no, that's all deep. That's like people don't realize like those experiences are like what make us human. So don't feel bad. Like those are beautiful. Like I
Oh, yeah,
wish I could remember.
I think one that I maybe I can say is that I have like a strong, and I was 5 or 6 when my grandfather died. I
Oh,
remember
my
like
condolences.
the tension in the house, like being like a dark day. I remember that
Yeah, see, you
feeling.
can remember from age 5. You're
Yeah.
lying.
Yeah, maybe I need to, stop for a minute and do this exercise and go back into
Definitely
that.
think about that's definitely do that. I've been experiencing that like not like even like avert like how do I say it? Like not against my own will, but sort of just like inadvertently, but also like intentionally, just like really reflecting. Like I was just kind of thinking about like me being in like elementary school. So you need to do
Mhm.
that. You definitely need to do that. It's very imperative for the the psyche to relive those memories and not in a going back, like glamorizing the past, but sort of remembering like your roots and your human because those
Oh
experiences
yeah,
are
yeah.
human.
Oh yeah, yeah, for sure. Have you saw the movie Sound of Metal?
No, no, I think people have told me about that before.
I
I'm
think
not a very you said Sound of Metal.
Yeah, Sound of Metal.
I'm
It's
gonna
a
look
great
that up.
movie. It went like to the Oscars, even though it's not like a very Oscar movie, but it's a great movie. And it's about a guy from a metal band, like a duo. It's
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
he's the drummer, and his girlfriend sings and plays guitar. And
Oh,
then
that's awesome.
sometimes during a gig, like he's playing and he stops listening to the drums, and then he discovers that he has a problem. But the cool thing about the movie is that the sound of the movie itself, uh you feel like him, it kind of translates to the spectator what he's listening. So it's a really trippy experience. It's a great movie. I really recommend.
I definitely will check that out. I'm not a very big film person. Like my cousin
Oh yeah.
is always trying to get me into films. Like we what? I saw Malcolm X for the first time back in like on Juneteenth. Actually, I saw it for the first time
I
on
never
Juneteenth.
saw that one actually.
Yeah, you should see it. It's a Spike Lee movie. I don't know if you're
Yeah.
very familiar, but his films are always great. Recently, I went to go see the Barbie movie.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Really, really fun. I don't know if they showed that in Portugal, but
Oh yeah,
Barbie
yeah.
movie. I
That's
haven't played.
that's everywhere.
Yeah, yeah,
There's no
yeah,
escape
yeah,
from
yeah, definitely.
Barbie. Yeah.
I noticed as of late, I've been kind of getting inspired by films as like I'm watching films more. I don't know. I don't know. Like, I just imagine like the cinematography and like the compositions and like how you got to do everything. Like, I'm not even paying attention to like the sound design of films, but just how they look like visually. Just like it's like
Yeah.
very inspiring. It's definitely like it's like when you see a great piece of art, you can't help but be inspired. So that's what I've been. Maybe the movies I've been watching lately have been doing that. I don't know if you're familiar with like the director Alejandro Jodorowsky.
Oh yeah, yeah, for sure.
Oh yeah, dude, I love Jodorowsky films.
That one is trippy too.
I watched like Fondo Elise, El Topo, The Holy Mountain, and like when I saw like Fondo Elise for the first time, it was like definitely like not game changing. Like it definitely like inspired me, but also was like I could relate to it super heavily because like I see a lot of my mom and my dad in like Fondo Elise and like the whole
Mm.
film, and so that's like definitely like my favorite film of all time. I shouldn't be telling people that because like I try to gatekeep that movie because it's such like a very personal experience, but like I don't mind sharing it with you and like whoever listens to it.
No, I think if I'm not mistaken, I think that movie was missing for a long time, actually.
Really?
Yeah, I think that for some time they didn't know where the movie was until they. It's always the same story. Somebody found in a castle. I don't know how there are so many castles or so many movies, but
They
it's
found a
always
cat.
that. Yeah,
They found her in a
uh,
castle.
a
That's
castle, a dungeon.
that's hilarious. That's hilarious. They say that with I don't know if you're familiar with like the Wilhelm scream, like it's that iconic scream. It's
Oh
like
yeah,
it's
yeah, yeah. I think
they
it's in
found
Indiana Jones or something.
it's in India. It's in like every film. They just found it. Like it was like I think it was like in a UCLA like storage room, and they were about to throw all the tapes out, but some dude was like, "No, I gotta archive it. I'll do it for free." And he found like the original tapes of the Wilhelm scream, and I was just and like the way that he's describing it, he was just like, "Yeah, dude, they were just about to throw it out, and I just couldn't let it happen." Or, like, could you imagine just like a piece of history just being thrown out just because
Yeah.
they didn't bother?
Yeah, that's great.
It's so stupid.
But
But
going back to the your songs from that from the stuff that you have on Bandcamp,
oh yeah, yeah.
I really like there's like a bunch of stuff in there. There's like a radio recordings, which I really like that those ones in
Mm-hmm.
particular. I like that voice like let inviting you into the and then there's a lot of high frequencies. I think
Yeah,
I'm not very
that
good at describing music, so but
no, it's definitely I appreciate you. Yeah, I go into like the nitty gritty when I'm composing. I actually have to compose a new track because I have like 3 performances coming up
so
like next
those
month.
ones so would you say that they are composed? They are
Yeah, I
not improvisations then?
they are like
Mm.
the way that I describe them is sort of like the beginning and the end are always sort of like composed. Like I'm always thinking about like how to end and how to begin and where to stop, but also where to like transform. I'm very big into like because obviously like I'm a noise artist. I'm like I love sound. Like I'm always thinking about like my favorite records. Like I think about like my favorite records and how they kind of like how they make you immerse into their worlds. Like how can you just get lost into it? So I try to apply those same principles into like my music. I'm always thinking about how can I get someone immersed from like the beginning. So there's always like these sort of little embellishments or sort of like you said, radio recordings to kind of invite you in, and then like it'll just like it'd be a moment where like the sound like just overlaps with the noise and it just like throws you in like
Oh
that's like
yeah,
stuff like that.
I admit that I was maybe in that radio part, and then I move it a little bit with the cursor, and then bang, it was like a noise in my head, like a
Yeah, definitely my I
punch.
I think today's like music consuming culture. I don't mean that in a derogatory way, but like the way that we consume media nowadays is very much like that, where you'll have like this moment right in a song or a movie or video, but then you'll move the cursor because you want to skip it, you want to get to the good part. But I always try to imagine like I always try to give like the I don't know. When I see like a film, I try to watch it the whole way through. I don't want to even like pause it. Like I try to give it like an art. The same way with a record. Like some of the best records of like the 60s, 70s, 80s, like whatever. They don't intend for like the listener, the audience to stop on a dime of like their own
Oh
will.
yeah.
They expect you to get involved and really it's like a commitment almost. And I try to make that within my music. Like if you're not committing entirely to like the track or like the record, like you're kind of doing yourself a disservice. Like um, so it's very funny that you mentioned that because I always think about that, and I'm not I'm critiquing it, but I'm also a victim of that too, especially because I have TikTok now on my phone, and I really shouldn't have, but now I scroll and I do like that, and I'm just like I gotta uninstall. So I try to like stay true to my word. It gets hard, but but
Yeah.
yeah, I really appreciate you like noticing like is it like the intros and the endings because I really put a lot of effort, especially in track two of I think that was like 9:30:23. Like that is like my favorite track out of the the record, and I put especially a lot of effort into that, and I was really practicing that, and especially because like I've been in like into like dub reggae for like the past year.
Mm.
I really was like trying to like dub manipulate those vocals and everything, and it definitely feel like it's the best executed track. Although I am a fan of the first track too.
What instruments are you using?
A lot of it is no input mixer, which is like it's kind of like a false term because there is like an input, but it means like no external input. So uh, you're kind of like using the outputs from the mixer and plugging them back in, and then like you have like the master output to come out, and then you like use effects pedals and whatever to manipulate those sounds. Especially because my mixer actually has like onboard effects, so it has like reverb, it has like pitch shifting. So I use those to great effect as well. But a lot of it was also a lot of it was also tape decks. Like I can actually find. So this is like one of my favorites. Shout out to Dave Public. It's called the Handy Cassette, and I really should be buying multiple of these before I tell people about these. But this is a really great instrument. I usually use like tape loops, or I use like found cassettes. Like I have a pile of cassettes over there, like on my stereo that I put in and I listen to, and then as I'm cleaning my room or I'm doing something, I listen to it and I find like, oh, I like this or like that. And sometimes I find cassettes in the wild that'll be like ocean noises or like the history of like the Blackfoot Indians. And I listen to those and I use those as samples.
I was gonna ask you, you're probably into Black Dice.
Oh, I've been meaning to listen to Black Dice. I
Somebody.
have my friend, like my friend is very familiar with Hisham, the drummer or the former drummer of that band, Black Dice. My friend Russ Waterhouse, who I'm helping to book, like he's helping me book the Fall River Noise Fest, which we'll get to in a little bit. But like he always tells me about Black Dice, like, and I should listen to Black Dice. That sounds like a band that I would be super interested. But me and him are always talking about like Animal Collective.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
They
yeah, yeah.
were they I think Animal Collective started opening some shows for Black Dice.
Oh,
And
definitely. I think they've gone on tour quite a few times.
yeah, and I actually I met one of the guys, one of the
In
Copeland
Black Dice.
brothers.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah,
He was
yeah.
here in Lisbon one time. He was doing visuals for Panda Bear actually
Oh
for a
wow.
gig. And and let me show you some. We have it on our Instagram. Do you know? Maybe you saw a book, a Black Dice book that
No, I
they.
didn't. I didn't
I
see it.
think I have around here.
I started watching the Ukraine conference that you did. I watched like the first 15 minutes. Definitely cool. You guys,
Oh,
I gotta
thanks.
watch.
This one, Gar.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh wow, that cover is beautiful. You know what that cover reminds me of is this album by this band called Hella called "There's No 666 in Outer Space." It definitely gives those same
Oh,
vibes.
oh yeah, yeah. And the entire book is kind of like that. It's just collages.
Oh, it's
Super
beautiful.
crazy. Yeah, it's one of my favorite books actually. It's super crazy, and it's really kind of like their music.
Oh
Uh,
wow.
yeah, and I think besides from Black Dice, the guys they have some records on their name too, on Eric Copeland albums. I know they are very people really like his solo stuff too.
Maybe I'll put them on later because I got time after this interview.
Let's talk about how we met. So you reach out to us to create some posters for an event that you're putting together. You're still doing that. How is things going now?
Yeah, I hit you up because I saw your work with Panda Bear and I was very impressed, and I was surprised to find out that you guys were Portuguese, and that was definitely like a big bonus. Yeah, I'm putting on this fest called Fall River Noise Fest. It's it's a festival in like the Fall River VFW Hall. It's a celebration of like the experimental and like avant-garde music that's come out around like this region for like the past like 10 years. Um, yeah, I hit you guys up about that, and I was very stoked that you guys were willing to take it on, especially because Fall River has like a very big historically we have always had like a very big Portuguese American population. I think we're actually like have like the biggest like a biggest population of Portuguese like in the entirety of like America. So it's definitely like there's like that cultural and link to like the old country that I was very big fan of. I'm not Portuguese myself, but the history of it. I'm trying to really highlight a lot of the history and the true history, because a lot of times how do I word this very nicely? There are certain institutions and organizations from around the area, not just specifically Fall River itself, but like all around, that are trying to highlight only certain parts of like history within like their like regions, where I'm like you have like where I'm trying to like dismantle that, and I'm trying to highlight true history, like very real history. Yeah, that festival is going good. The biggest thing that I have to do right now is just kind of find like someone to rent a PA from, which I actually gotta get on that this week. That'll be like the thing I gotta do this week. And then like small things like getting like power cords, maybe getting a vendor and having like wristbands for the thing. But overall, I'm very stoked. I'm kind of scared, honestly. Like this, I'm no stranger to booking shows, and I actually helped book a festival this past July. It's called Fuck the Fourth Fest in Providence. But I was sort of kind of like the lackey. I was always kind of the grunt work. And no pejorative way. I was very happy to be very appreciative to be a part of that. But this is like the first time I'm really taking on like everything. Like I'm taking on the expenses. I'm taking on the management. I'm taking on like trying to secure everything. Like, and I have like help from my friend Russ Waterhouse, who's a very, very accomplished musician, very, very good person. He's actually toured in fact, he's actually toured extensively with Panda Bear in his old band called Water Sports. So, or no, not Water Sports, Blues Control. Water Sports was like the band before Blues Control. But yeah, I'm very stoked and appreciative that I'm able to put this on. But I'm also it's very scary, because with any endeavor, it's always scary. But this one, I'm like I has to, like, not that it has to be perfect, but like there are certain things I need to do and I need to get done in time. And like a lot of the things are done in time. Like the roster's complete. Obviously you guys completed the flyers, which I'm very appreciative. You guys did great, amazing work. But it's like, I don't know. I won't feel like truly relaxed until like the day after the
For
festival.
sure. That's normal. Yeah. No, I understand. You are not playing on that day?
I am. I'm opening up.
Oh, cool.
I'm always. It's very funny. Like I'm always like the opener, which I have no problem with being an opener. I'm always like happy because I get to enjoy the rest of the show. Whereas like, and also like I think a harsh noise act, when I do my harsh noise act, being an opener is kind of like appropriate, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's a lot of things on your shoulder for sure. But it's great that you're promoting, that you're doing this, and it's cool that there's a lot of bands, a lot of projects in the lineup. It's cool that there's a bunch of artists from that genre
Yeah,
around there.
yeah. Thank you for saying that. Yeah, I'm
Because I
definitely
think
stoked.
and I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but if I was going to try to do the same here, I don't think I will be able to put so many names. There's no so much from it. They are all. Would you say they are all noisy, or there's other
So
types?
so half of the festival is going to be like harsh noise, well, sort of like like kind of like similar to like my record that you're familiar with, but half
Mm-hmm.
of it is going to be like free jazz or like improv or experimental. Like I booking Fuck the Fourth Fest. It definitely gave me like a lot of ideas like how I should manage like my own festival, and how they kind of manage is that they have like the noise slash electronic section, and then they have like the punk slash hardcore section, or more band type act. And so I kind of went with that mentality. I was thinking like half the festival should be free jazz, because there is like a developing free jazz scene within Providence. Within only like the past year, it's definitely boomed. It started and boomed. Um, but also it should be like the roots of like harsh noise, and like the very root of it was like trying to put on like true fall artists, like my mentor Harry Gold Harvey the Fourth, trying to put him on, and his friend compound like Dean Forsyth, who goes by Compound Bunker, but he also runs this very kind of not esoteric label, but very dark and very not mystique, but very like kind of avant-garde label called Primitive Propaganda, where he puts a lot of his friends and families on it and stuff like that. I wanted to put them on it myself, and I know there's like a couple more followers musicians, but they're sort of like underground, like not really trying to get out there, which was kind of like a bummer. But so but I got like people from like Providence and like had this band from Connecticut coming and like this dude from New York coming, and but really I was trying to just put on like genuine art, like artists and musicians and people who are like, not to be like, not that they're good at their craft, but more genuine. I don't really care about like the quality because all quality is always subjective from person to person. Like I love noise music. People might think noise music is like the most stupid thing ever, but like I try to put on people who are like genuine or people who don't get put on very like much. So I'm very happy to have like this kind of broad, diverse selection of musicians from all sorts of different backgrounds. There's some disabled musicians on there, a lot of queer musicians on there. The biggest thing I wanted to do this year, which I'll probably do for the next fest, is I try to put on more people from ethnic backgrounds, different diverse ethnic backgrounds. But it's very hard because there's not a lot of that, especially like in any scene. There's not a lot of that, but in the noise, it's especially prevalent. Like so a lot of it's like kind of like single culture, which I try to do rich. But it's like as long as I'm putting on people who are genuine and people who have like these experiences, it doesn't matter too much. But I definitely would try to. I'm kind of rambling. My bad.
No, I was remembering that we went this year to a festival here in Barcelona called the
Oh
Primavera
yeah.
Sound, yeah, and we met there. I'm trying to remember the place. I don't want to be wrong, but I can Google while we talk about something else later. But I think he was from Australia, but I think in short, they were from the middle of nowhere. Like I think it was like 12 hours to get to the near city.
Were they
Yeah,
were
and
they like Aboriginal or indigenous or
yeah. So
wow?
they had some yeah. The band was actually like it was rap, and they were rapping on their native language, which
Oh
is
wow!
almost extinct. And yeah, the guy was telling me that they're one of their managers. He was telling like there's like an airplane that goes there once a month to deliver food so they can drop some food and stuff like
Oh
that so
wow!
they
That's
can live,
terrible.
because yeah, it's really in the middle of nowhere. And I think the main guy, the main rapper, he was the first one from that group of people to get into college. So yeah,
I
it's
relate to that.
yeah, really another world, but super yeah. And it's the music is really unique, really great.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
don't know why you're talking about that, and I remember of those guys. I'm gonna Google them to check if I'm not
Oh,
speaking
you
up.
definitely got to show me that, man.
Yeah.
I'm very big into like weird, like not that they're weirdo, but like just kind of like out there stuff, especially like beautiful stuff like that. Like I don't know how to pronounce his name, but I've been kind of doing my own spiritual searching. And there's this dude named Xavier. I forget his name. I have the Instagram name. I'll send it to you. You can superimpose his name over here. But he's like this indigenous dude who unfortunately passed away last year or 2 years ago or something. But he creates like he is able to like read like ancient Aztec and Mayan like texts and codices and able to like dissect like what their instruments were made out of, sort of play their they have like the instrument called the ocarina, and it's a very beautiful like wind instrument, and he's able to play that like so proficiently, like fluently, and
Hmm.
create like these soundscapes and like be able to have like these authentic but modern interpretations of like what that music sounds like. And he's like this dude who's gone to like I don't know what the proper terms, but these rituals where he's got like blessed by like their shaman, and like it's beautiful, especially because like
Whoa.
I'm Mayan. I always have like the Guatemalan flag on like you see any picture of me or performing live, I always have like the Guatemalan flag in some sort of like picture or like right next to me. It's like sort of my security blanket. But
Yeah.
I have that, and I try to like been trying to do like, listen to their music and like just certain like,
Yeah,
stuff like that, being able to have like these like indigenous music being reinterpreted or being like able to like survive through like evolution, but in a very authentic that stays true to like you said, like these Aboriginals are rapping and it's like they're rapping in their ancient language, right? It's like that's beautiful.
that's great. I was just checking here while you're talking, and yeah, I got it right there from Australia, and they are a hip hop group called Them Mob, and actually at Primavera he shared the stage with Kendrick Lamar, so
Oh
that's
wow,
great for
that's
him.
an honor.
That's really great for him. Yeah,
That's
I'll send you the proper
oh
link
yeah, you
after, but
definitely.
it's good to hear you speak so passionate about your town. Uh, and as I was saying, it looks like even though it's a small city, there's a cool scene, a cool, and there's a lot of cultural things and things related with art, and that's great because in my
Definitely cultural.
small city in Brazil, I didn't have so much of that stuff.
Yeah, it's definitely like the art stuff is definitely like a recent development, and it's kind of
Mm.
been it's try to be nice being co-opted or not being totally like genuine. There are sects of like Fall River that are being totally like trying to be genuine. I'm trying to be part of that as well. Very much very cultural. Like we were one of the biggest cities in like America before like the Great Depression. We had like if you wanted to get to New York from Boston, you had to stop in Fall River, and there's like the Fall River line, which is a bunch of steamboats.
Mm-hmm.
Like a lot of presidents stopped and stayed in Fall River and stuff like that. Like I'm definitely very big into like roots. Like I knew there's like I don't know how to describe it. Like I'm very thankful, very appreciative of you recognizing passion because I am very passionate, especially because like it is like the I'm born and raised here. Like I spent my whole life here, and that's like beautiful. But I just wish there was like more like genuine art or like not very institutionalized because there's like this. There's certain institutions in the city that kind of prevent contemporary art from or music from being displayed, and it's really pathetic to say the least. I would like to try to start something in Fall River, but it's hard to navigate. It's hard to, especially because like it's a very post-industrial town. We like suffer a lot like from it's like being like having mills on fire, like a lot of those same problems. So like we don't have mills on fires now, but like a lot of the same issues that we're facing 100 years ago, we're still facing today. And if you look at like certain pictures, and I think I even showed you this, like when we're discussing about the flyer, if you see like pictures from like 100 years ago and comparing today, they look doesn't look like there's a difference much at all.
Yeah, yeah.
Like you'll maybe see a car, but that's it. Like it looks the same. Like it's crazy. But I am passionate about the city, and that's like definitely been like a big thing. It's like I'm passionate about the city. I love the city, but I need to go experience like because like you said, like you obviously love your town from like your very small town from Brazil, but you needed to expand your wings. But you always like you said, you always rep Brazil because that is like a part of you. And I like if I ever were to leave Fall River, that would exactly what I do.
But also, you're talking about your city, but the fact that you are putting out this festival and that in a way you're getting help to do this, it's also really cool. It's really cool
Thank
that
you.
this initiative because, like you say, you don't know how it's gonna go, but it's a starting point.
Oh
And
yeah, yeah. I definitely hope that will attract the right crowd. I'm definitely thinking logistically about how I'm going to execute it, and like if it doesn't go exactly the plan, that's fine. But I'm hoping that I'm setting at least the right standards and the right.
we need to record another episode after so you can tell us how it went.
Oh yeah, definitely. We'll do it like a couple months down the road or something. I would love to have that.
Thanks again for your time here, and me and Chris, we really wish you all the luck with this event.
Thank
Please
you.
keep us up to date with send us some photos after and stuff like that. And
Oh yeah, definitely. That's what I'm working on right now. Actually, trying to find like document.
oh, cool.
But I just
Yeah.
want to say before the episode ends abruptly, thank you, Lucas. Thank you so much. Thank you, Chris,
No,
who's
it
not
was
here right now. I hope to
pleasure.
talk to her next episode. We gotta
Mhm.
get her involved.
For sure. Have a nice one. Don't want to
Thank you,
cut
man.
here, so
Yeah,
see you.
cut. See you, man.